I have a rare treat for aviation fans today. We're catching a flight to Muscat, Oman to see what's up at quickly growing low-cost carrier SalamAir. As a huge bonus, we'll be on one of their A321neos that was recently purchased from defunct Mexican carrier Interjet. As a result, our plane today is still in the old Interjet livery, making for a rather rare air travel experience. I was looking forward to checking out the regular SalamAir product, but the rarity of our plane today ends up making this flight all the more exciting. So come along for our trip from Baghdad down to Muscat to explore what's going on at SalamAir and to see what it's like on what is currently one of the quirkiest birds in the sky. Our check-in and security procedures took a while today. It's worth knowing that you want to budget some extra time when flying out of Baghdad, since these details can make the time from curb to airside a bit longer than usual. If you happen to catch my recent experience on Iraqi Airways, you may recall that I didn't have all that much time to explore the airport that day. Thankfully today I have some more time, so let's start by wandering around Baghdad International a bit. My flight will be leaving from the Babylon terminal, where we are now, whereas the last time I was here I left from the Samarra terminal. The first thing I note is that the different terminals look very similar. As with the Samarra terminal, we have a few restaurants, cafes with light fare, and a small duty-free shop. There are some vending machines, banks, and even some massage chairs for good measure. In the middle of the terminal, we again have a reading nook with some displays of local history and culture, much the same as what we saw in the Samarra terminal. As a pro tip for anyone who finds themselves here, coffee from the vending machines is much cheaper than at the restaurants and still pretty good. There's a bit of interesting art to spot, and I was particularly a fan of this Garden of Eden looking thing here. On the edges of the terminals, we also have these prayer rooms that are built from beautifully done wood. The different terminals are connected by walkways. Exploring a bit, I see that there are more lounges than I realized on my last visit. There's even a priority pass lounge that I might try and check out next time I'm in the area. On the walkway between the Samarra and Babylon terminals, I also found this great Iraqi Airways replica on display in front of one of the lounges. Wish I had found this when I was doing the Iraqi Airways review. For those of you who enjoy the plane spotting side of these videos, there was some good stuff to see. Here we have Air Arabia headed to Sharjah, Royal Jordanian headed to Oman, and in the distance, Qatar headed down to Doha. And from this angle over here, we can see Mirage Airlines, which is based in Tehran. Behind that, Sham Wings headed to Damascus. And in the distance, the big guy from Iraqi Airways looks to be headed off to Guangzhou, China. I was lucky enough to catch our Interjet Livery plane arriving, and sadly this was about the best view I got of the plane today. The airport here, and also on arrival, is designed in such a way that it's a bit tough to get good shots. Our gate today is number 35. You have to go through a security check to get into the boarding area, and the line quickly got pretty long once they announced the gate. On the other side of the security check, it's shortly time to board. I had a group assignment on my boarding pass, but they didn't seem to really be boarding by groups. Once on the jet bridge, they do another passport check, which made for another brief wait, but I was happy looking around a bit. Once through that check, it's smooth sailing and we're quickly on board. The seats seem to be the old ones from Interjet. They're Recaro in faux grey leather, and we're in the 3-3 configuration that you'd expect for this aircraft. I'm here in seat 29A today, a bit behind the wing, and offering views out the left-hand side. The seats are pretty Spartan, more or less what you'd expect from a low-cost carrier like SalamAir. There's a hard pocket up above for the safety card and menu, but there's no mesh pocket down below, meaning that there isn't really anywhere to stick anything during the flight. Interjet was known for having decent legroom, but things feel marginally on the tight side today. So I'm guessing that SalamAir squeezed some extra seats in. I'm thinking the mesh pocket may even have been removed to squeeze in those extra seats. If any sleuths out there can confirm or deny that observation, feel free to comment down below. On the edge of the seat there's a little coat hook, and up above there are individual air vents. The touch points on the air vents look thoroughly touched, but other than that particular area, I found the plane otherwise clean enough. A scrubberoo around those vents definitely wouldn't hurt. There is no screen, and we don't have any in-flight entertainment or Wi-Fi on this flight, so you want to bring something along to keep you occupied. Again, it's a low-cost carrier, so my expectations for that sort of thing are accordingly low. Based at Muscat International Airport in Oman, SalamAir is a newer low-cost carrier that launched service in 2017. The word salam comes from Arabic meaning peace. The airline has grown rapidly since getting started, and they now reach a range of destinations spanning the Middle East, Europe, and Asia. They also just announced new destinations in Kenya and Somalia, so we can add Africa to the growing list. They reported a 28% increase in passengers over the 2023 year, and I've been seeing some pretty positive reviews. Of course, the fact that we're flying on such an oddity today means it's hard to say much about the airline's usual hard product. Hopefully I'll get to review their standard product sometime soon for comparison. But given the rapid growth, it seems they're doing something right. Our registration number today for this odd guy is A40OXF. He's about 6.5 years old at the time of flying and was purchased from Interjet about a year and 5 months back in July of 2023. As a bit of background, I booked this flight directly through SalamAir's website, which was a reasonably user-friendly process. They offer different fare classes, and I opted for what's called the benefit fare, which includes a seat choice of meal, insurance policy, and a baggage allotment of 7 kilograms for cabin bag and 30 kilograms for a checked bag. The fare was about $100, little over $100 US one way, but there were much cheaper options without the add-ons. Overall, the fare struck me as excellent, but this is a low-cost carrier, so I guess that's kind of the point. I also explored their app a bit, and I was able to do my check-in there the day before flying. The app is adequate for basic functionality, allowing you to do things like select seats, make changes, and the like. No bells and whistles, but did all the basics. Despite checking in online, I still had to wait a good 25 minutes to check my bag today. We pull back 26 minutes after schedule, although most of that time got made up, and later we arrived just a few minutes late. As we pull back, the staff do their safety demonstration. Since there are no screens on this plane, it's done the old-fashioned way, standing in the aisles. This could be my imagination, but I felt like the crew members did an extra effort to do the demo in sync with each other. It's a little thing, but I kinda like that. Overall, the crew on this flight are again what I'd expect for a low-cost carrier. Overall efficient, not an over-the-top customer service experience, but no complaints really either. Our flight down to Muscat is scheduled to take just over 2.5 hours. We depart due north-northwest and pull a U-turn to the left to head south. Our flight path takes us over southern Iraq, a bit to the east of Kuwait City over the Persian Gulf, and the eastern UAE before entering Omani airspace and descending into Muscat. A few years back, SalamAir added some premium seats to the front of most of their planes called the Luban seating class. Luban means frankincense, and frankincense has been a key feature of Omani culture for centuries. I really like it when airlines use these little opportunities to make connections with their local identity. Booking in the Luban class gives you lounge access and priority check-in, a bit unusual for a low-cost carrier. But since this plane still has all the Interjet features, it doesn't yet have that Luban service class. The crew come through with a meal service once we're at altitude and still over Iraq. As a low-cost carrier, meals are either at a cost or you pay more for a fare that includes a meal service. As I mentioned before, I selected the benefit fare that includes a meal. When buying the ticket, I was able to select from a number of sandwich options. I think there were about 8 choices, and I selected this grilled halloumi cheese sandwich. and came with a small water. The sandwich itself isn't really much. It has the halloumi cheese, and it seems a bit of butter or spread of some kind. As we can see looking at the menu, buying it on board would come at a cost of 3 Omani riyals, which is about $7.50 US. In the future, I'd probably make a point of eating before flying, although the onboard menu called Salam Cafe does have some other options that I'd be curious to try. Here we can see some more proper meals like chicken biryani and Indian butter chicken, for example, that look fairly appetizing. Those come at a cost of 3.5 riyals or about $9 US. Unless I missed something, those options were not included with the fare class I paid for, just a choice from the sandwiches. And again, the sandwich was fine but unremarkable. The locking mechanism for the bathroom was broken, but thankfully there was a very professional, dedicated crew member keeping an eye on things to avoid any surprises. The bathroom itself is on the small side, and it has the tiny wash basin that travelers love to stick their fingers in. Other than a bit of tissue left as a gift by a previous passenger, the bathroom was clean. We cross into the Emirates to the east of Dubai over Sharjah, giving us some views of the city of Ajman from my side of the plane. From there we cross over the northern portion of the Hajar Mountains and into Omani airspace. We follow the coast of Oman, northwest of Muscat, and since the skies are clear, we have some great views of the towns along the coast and the northwest suburbs of Muscat when we get a little closer. Muscat International Airport was recently completely overhauled. The new facility, which includes a new terminal and new runway, opened in 2018, so not long after SalamAir launched their service. They operate out of Terminal 1, which is in that newer part of the airport. Stay till the end for some shots of Muscat International, but I'll also be flying out of here on Gulf Air next week, so be sure to like and subscribe if airline videos are your thing, and if you'd like to see more of this shiny new airport. Last thoughts on SalamAir as we approach our gate. Well, I feel like flying this Interjet plane makes it hard to say much about the usual experience on this airline. I'm curious to know how long this plane will stay like this until it gets its overhaul. I think the usual SalamAir livery is quite beautiful, and the usual interior hard product looks to be pretty decent for a low-cost carrier. So I guess I'll have to wait and check that out soon before I can opine much on this airline. In the meantime, it was a great experience on this Interjet in Limbo plane for somebody who gets excited about this kind of thing. As soon as we deplane, we get a feel for the impressive new terminal. This is the first thing we see, and continuing on, the design of the airport is looking really nice. There's some nice, very stylish seating, and here we have by far the coolest airport bathroom signage I can remember. There are people movers to bring you along to the immigration hall and baggage area, and those areas feel spacious and welcoming. By the time I got through immigration today, which didn't take long at all, my suitcase was there at the carousel. Again, come along for my next flight to see more of this beautiful new terminal. Hope to see you then, and hope you enjoyed this rare Interjet SalamAir hybrid experience today.